Hello, let me do my final check-in of uh, The Indian in the Cabinet by Jody Wilson-Raybould, where we get kind of the whole SNC Lavalin affair, the fallout from it, her getting tossed from the cabinet and then getting tossed from the Liberal Party, all done um, not following the own rules of the little thing, the continual denial, and basically outright lies of the Trudeau government about what they were trying to get her to do. 4 months of constant. You need to get the deferrals. You let us have a deferral, and then basically doing a smear campaign afterwards, saying that she was being difficult, that she wasn't open to compromise, all the kind of smear things that you do on women, basically that she was a bitch who wouldn't listen to reason, that sort of stuff. None of this coming from Justin Trudeau, the great feminist himself, but just all the liberal operatives that they were feeding all these talking points to. Her reflecting on all of this, saying I went there hoping to make a change, to actually kind of enact a real shift in Canadian Native people's relationship, but I ended up as the Indian in the cabinet and dismissed, so not really interested in hearing my point of view on anything. I mean, to be fair, it seems like that's how Justin Trudeau's PMO seemed to treat all of the ministers, but she seems to have been the only one that is enough of an outsider, enough of a person who isn't that kind of political animal, who has a different background, that she stood up to it. And I mean, she makes a really good point of, I stood up to this. But looking around at all the other people in this cabinet, in the party, it's like, that's not how things work. You just suck it up and go along, and you don't stand up for what's right. So how much of this shit has just been going on and on and on, and I am the tippy tip of a little iceberg. By the end, she's just like, I wish I'd never met you. He keeps on giving her hugs, which she just finds disgusting. By this point, his smarmy, oh, just want to be friends kind of thing is just like, fuck off. You are obviously a manipulator of of some order. She does make the point, look, this isn't high crimes and misdemeanors. We're not the United States, but this is the subversion of the law. And maybe a part of the reason why she stood up is it's like, yeah, the Canadian government has in its dealing with Native peoples, has completely subverted and ignored the law time and time again, and is continuing to do so in its relations with Native peoples. So maybe it's not surprising that I'm the one who would say, no, you're not subverting the law here. That is wrong. You are politically interfering with something that's supposed to be an independent judiciary. I'm not going to do this. Yeah. And just as an afternote, I was listening to Canada Land, a super excellent podcast where they talk about the media in Canada and do some of their own amazing reporting. Thunder Bay is something that you could really dive in deeply to. They did an amazing job. And they were talking about how our beloved Prime Minister, still the Prime Minister with a minority government, again, he's gone twice to try and get a majority again, has not been able to. Mostly probably because of his further tarnished reputation with the SNC Lavalin, with the we thing, with the blackface, with various things. And his latest thing was that after the election, they had declared a Truth and Reconciliation Day, at which point, instead of actually going to any of this stuff, he did something the day before, and then he went off to Tofino for his vacation instead of actually attending one of these things as the fucking representative of our country. And he got really called to the carpet for that. And so he finally did go to Kamloops and got read the riot act in public, um, and smiled through it all. And reporters afterwards said, like, well, but what are you going to do? You've apologized, but what are you going to actually do? Like, the Canadian government has all these records that they still haven't released to the interested parties to actually kind of get into all this stuff about children at residential schools. And he looked at them and said, we have released all the documents. At which point, the enterprising reporters went to the interested party. I'm going to have to look it up because I probably will mention this in my review. And they said, no, the Canadian government has not done that. So someone was, yet again, still is, full up to the brim bullshit. Completely full of bullshit. Which, unfortunately, there's a very cynical part of me that says that Justin Trudeau is merely an exemplar, a shining star student of the bullshit that is much of Canadian politics, and the way that Canadian politics likes to hide things very tidily away, where it's not going to disturb any of the citizenry or reveal any of the complete corrupt assholery that is at the heart of our system. Um, um, we have the thing of ministerial confidentiality, which government uses to hide all of this stuff. The ethics commissioner who actually did find Justin Trudeau and the PMO, guilty of trying to doing exactly what Jody Wilson-Raybould said, has also said that they weren't able to discharge their duties to completely because the Prime Minister's office refused to actually release the full documentation. And that said, this is also a book that gives me great hope, because Jody Wilson-Raybould really comes across as a passionate, super intelligent, really principled, amazing person that I am so lucky that this person is also a Canadian, as well as being a native person and someone who lives on the same fucking who was born on this island that I live on, Vancouver Island. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, she also represents somebody who has been completely ejected from our political system for not playing ball, for being actually seems to be a really principled person who doesn't do politics the way that the guy who said he was coming to Ottawa to do politics differently, but yet seems to have been really is a second generation, maybe even third generation politician boy who has been immersed in this so deeply that they don't seem to actually have any particular moral center whatsoever, other than power. I want power. I want to hold on to power. Power. Yeah, sucks. So, not exactly clearing the plains level of fuckness, but pretty fucking sad, nevertheless. All right, I will leave it there. I'm gonna let this one ruminate a little bit. Yeah, yeah, go from there. All right, more videos later.